All right, so I have a message for the Twin Flame Collective. Now, I cannot be certain that I am on one of these Twin Flame journeys, right? But what I can say is that, first of all, it pretty much is not a whole lot of fun, right? Um, and I can't be sure that I'm on one or not. But what I will say is that when I was in the part of the journey that was the initial union, and then the kind of, I would describe it as considering, look at my hair is considering getting back into union. It was a like consideration phase, and then I just said, you know what, I don't think I want anything to do with this. Those two phases were just so extremely exaggerated with the what I would perceive as being like supernatural and kind of like mystic kind of vibe, right? But I have Leo rising with a part of fortune in the fifth house Sagittarius, so somebody like me would be perceptive to something like that, right? So what I want to say, I want to try to make this video as fast as I can. That the whole journey is about learning yourself, right? And so what at the initial separation, I was kind of in a very turbulent emotional state where I just couldn't find any inner comfort. And for me, what I had to do to solve that, I hate to say stuff like this, but smoke a lot of weed and drink a lot of coffee. That's the only thing that really helped. And then I drink turmeric tea as well, calms you down, right? So that's what worked for me, and it got me into kind of like herbal healing, right? Which is kind of interesting. I have a 12th house Sun and a 6th house Saturn, right? So that to me that kind of says it could be herbal healing, right? So all I'm really trying to say here is that when I was going through that phase, and even today, I got into watching a lot of tarot readings about um, where did it start? It started off with just divine, either masculine or feminine readings. That's just kind of where I got started. And then from there, I learned about collective readings and I learned about certain sign readings, right? And I just thought it was just fantastic how, or even larger than life, how these people that don't know me um, could hit directly on to exactly parts, not the whole story, but certain parts were just so specific of what exactly was happening in my life. Um, and it just tripped me out, man. One of them, literally, I don't want to go too deep into my situation because it's more personal. I don't want to embarrass anybody, but it really taught me a lot about tarot. But and if you keep doing collective readings, if you do 100 collective readings a week, right? One of those readings is going to resonate with somebody because just it's just the nature of tarot. It's just the nature of the technology that is tarot. Tarot is like 76 cards, right? All dealing with very like basic but complex aspects of the social, and I would call it the uh, basically the social journey of life. Like that's how I would describe tarot. It's kind of like it helps you predict like social things. Like even making money is a social thing. Your emotions are kind of like social, right? Fire energy is like things you do, right? That's also social, right? And then what's the last one? Earth. I already did earth, water, air. And then air obviously is the most social. So check it out. All I'm trying to say 5 minutes in is that um like tarot a twin flame journey is kind of like an oxymoron in how you solve it, you know? Um I'm kind of like an astrologer in a way, or I'm kind of like obsessed with astrology. And what what perceiving myself to be on a twin flame journey, and trying to solve it within myself, it points out the oxymoron of the whole belief system. See, the belief system is that you're supposed to learn like a very intense form of self love to the point where you don't really need or want the other twin, right? And that is what ends up making them come back to you, right? But it might be one of the most toxic things, one of the most toxic ways of self-loving yourself. Um, now, if your goal is indeed self-love, then I guess this makes a little bit of sense. But I guess that's why, people would say this is a magical experience. So what I learned, is that when I would watch the tarot readings, it actually would trigger the other person to desire attention from me, right? So it would, they would temporarily come back, right? And then they would come back, and then you'd see like, oh, this person is still like not really somebody worth being with, right? So it's like, and it's kind of cool to see like, okay, well, I guess if this person isn't grown up enough to be worth being with, then I guess maybe I should just say fuck the twin flame union. You know what I mean? And I can see how this is like all part of the journey, but the thing to me is like, you gotta kind of like, at some point, and I don't want to like step on any people's toes that read tarot or anything, because I got into reading tarot too, and it's actually a really cool thing to do. It's actually really fun, especially if you're listening to some music, flipping some cards. I mean, I got some cards right here. I mean, these aren't tarot cards, but I mean, I got these crystal cards, right? What we got? Sugilite, and then I have like some astrology dice, right? Just some stuff I got into. Let's get second house, Leo, Mars. And then, I mean, we do have a stack of cards here, right? So, if you can't tell from this little thing over here, I got a fifth house North Node, right? You can see it all right there. So what I'm trying to say here is that, if you really don't want to be with like your counterpart, it kind of doesn't make sense to put any more effort into the journey, right? But then what you're met with is just boredom, right? I got a lot of earth energy in my chart, so what I'm noticing is that I'm just met with a whole lot of boredom, right? In this journey, I've actually made a whole lot of money during the separation, and that's wonderful, right? But what I experience is a whole lot of boredom, and what I can see happening is I can see that boredom making me just entertain, the counterpart if they decided to try to come back at some point, and I don't know if that's a good thing, right? So, yeah, I guess I just want to motivate people that think they're on the journey and they're like, they're past the part where they're healing themselves from, the desperation of wanting the romantic connection. And, maybe they got into the tarot and, they're tired of hearing the same readings every day and then they're just bored, right? Because at some point when your life is stable, it's just going to be boring, right? But boredom is really like a luxury. Boredom is like, there's people that wish they could just be bored, right? There's people, I mean, we had an Arctic freeze in Wisconsin over the last week and a half, and my car died out there, and as I was trying to replace and re-replace the battery, my hands were like almost freezing. You know what I mean? My hands were like numb, and they hurt, right? And I was just thinking, wow, there's people out here freezing to death, right? I bet they wish they could be bored. I live with my family. This is a big ass house, kind of a luxury, right? Boredom's really a luxury. So if you can really conquer that boredom, this is just a message to myself, really. If you can conquer that boredom, then I would say that that alone would be close enough to the self ascension, right? If because boredom, I swear, boredom is like it seems like a bad thing, but it's really one of the best things. So, and then loneliness as well. Like if you have 12th house stuff, you're gonna feel loneliness. But I don't really feel loneliness. But I'm just saying, if you keep watching those twin flame readings, right, you're just gonna keep yourself stuck in watching the readings. And I do watch the readings. You know what I mean? I watch them like I watch the readings for like 2 weeks straight. I ain't even gonna lie, just to see. It's kind of fun. It's kind of like a fun game to me to be like part of something that is like part of a belief system that is like really toxic, but like really like, it's like what's gonna happen next. It's like kind of a drama, kind of like a soap opera, honestly. So, but what I found is that I'm pretty much better off when I don't watch them, when I don't like use any sort of any sort of outside, like herbal supplements or marijuana or coffee or stuff like that, when I just allow myself to be in my most healed, natural state. But then, like I said, what I run into is just that boredom. Now, that boredom doesn't trigger that person to come back temporarily or permanently, but like I said, like at some point you have to just detach from the whole journey, which is kind of silly. And then the idea is that that's what's going to be what triggers them back. But the part that sucks is like if you're detached, then you're not even going to want them back, right? So it's like why even believe in it once you get to the point where you're detached and don't even want them back, right? Why would you even continue to believe in it? So that's my message for the day. Be blessed, everyone. Drink water, do some exercise, pray a couple times a week if you can. And yeah, wish you all the most healthy and highest vibrations that you can have, and have a good life.